Everyone says sawdust is bad for your garden, right? Well, prepare to have your mind blown. We're not just busting that myth today. We're showing you how to turn this so-called waste material into a genuine goldmine of nitrogen for your plants. After decades of gardeners avoiding sawdust like the plague, it's time to reveal the truth. When composted correctly, sawdust becomes one of the most powerful soil amendments you can create. You'll never look at those wood shavings the same way again after seeing the incredible transformation they can bring to your garden. The underestimated garden secret: sawdust. For too long, sawdust has been relegated to the forbidden list of garden materials, dismissed as a nitrogen thief that will starve your plants. This reputation stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of how organic materials behave in soil. When fresh sawdust is applied directly to garden beds, it does indeed tie up nitrogen as soil microorganisms work frantically to break down its high-carbon structure. However, this same characteristic that makes raw sawdust problematic becomes its greatest strength when we harness the power of controlled composting. The transformation of sawdust from garden enemy to soil superfood happens through the miraculous process of microbial decomposition. During composting, beneficial bacteria and fungi systematically break down the complex lignin and cellulose structures in wood particles, gradually releasing stored nutrients while creating a rich, humus-like material that plants absolutely love. This process doesn't just neutralize sawdust's nitrogen-hungry nature, it actually converts it into a slow-release nitrogen source that feeds your plants consistently over time. What makes sawdust particularly valuable is its incredible abundance and consistency. Unlike many organic materials that vary dramatically in quality and availability, sawdust provides a reliable, carbon-rich foundation for building exceptional compost. Whether you source it from local sawmills, woodworking shops, or even your own projects, sawdust offers gardeners an affordable pathway to creating premium soil amendments that rival expensive commercial products. You know, the secret to transforming sawdust into a nitrogen powerhouse really lies in understanding the delicate dance of carbon and nitrogen ratios that drive successful composting. Fresh sawdust typically contains a carbon-to-nitrogen ratio of around 200 to 500 to 1, which is extraordinarily high compared to the ideal composting ratio of about 25 to 30 to 1. This massive carbon excess is precisely why raw sawdust creates problems in gardens, but honestly, it also represents untapped potential for creating incredibly rich compost. When we add nitrogen-rich green materials to balance sawdust's carbon content, we create the perfect environment for thermophilic composting. That's the hot, fast decomposition process that turns organic waste into, well, garden gold. The microorganisms responsible for this transformation literally consume the carbon in sawdust, while using nitrogen as fuel for their metabolic processes. As they multiply and eventually die off, their bodies become part of the finished compost, contributing additional nitrogen and other essential nutrients to the final product. The beauty of this process extends way beyond simple nutrient conversion. As microorganisms break down sawdust's woody structure, they create stable humic compounds that dramatically improve soil structure, water retention, and nutrient availability. These humic substances act like tiny sponges in your soil, holding moisture during dry periods while preventing waterlogging during heavy rains. They also create aggregation. That's the clumping together of soil particles that creates the perfect balance of air pockets and water-holding capacity that plant roots really crave. Temperature plays a crucial role in this transformation. Properly managed sawdust compost piles regularly reach temperatures between 130 and 160 degrees Fahrenheit during active decomposition, hot enough to kill weed seeds and plant pathogens while creating ideal conditions for beneficial microorganisms to thrive. This natural pasteurization process ensures your finished compost is not only nutrient-rich, but also biologically safe for your garden. Creating your own sawdust compost begins with gathering the right materials in proper proportions. For every 4 to 5 parts sawdust by volume, you'll need 1 part nitrogen-rich green materials such as fresh grass clippings, kitchen vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, or well-aged manure. This ratio provides the balanced nutrition that composting microorganisms need to efficiently break down the woody material while building population levels that ensure rapid decomposition. Your composting site should be easily accessible yet somewhat protected from extreme weather conditions. A 3-foot by 3-foot area provides sufficient mass for maintaining proper composting temperatures while remaining manageable for regular maintenance. Begin by creating a base layer of coarse material such as small branches or corn stalks to promote airflow, then alternate layers of sawdust and green materials, ensuring each sawdust layer is no more than 4 to 6 inches thick. Moisture management is absolutely critical for successful sawdust composting. The pile should feel like a wrung-out sponge, moist throughout but not dripping wet. Sawdust naturally repels water when dry, so thorough soaking of each layer during construction prevents those dry pockets that slow decomposition. A garden hose with a spray nozzle works perfectly for achieving even moisture distribution without creating waterlogged areas that can lead to anaerobic conditions and, well, those unpleasant odors. Aeration makes the difference between successful composting and a smelly, slow decomposing mess. You'll want to plan to turn your sawdust compost pile every 2 to 3 weeks during active decomposition, mixing materials thoroughly while adding water as needed to maintain proper moisture levels. During turning, pay attention to the pile's internal temperature and appearance. Healthy compost should steam when exposed to cool air and have an earthy, pleasant smell reminiscent of forest floors. The composting timeline for sawdust varies with temperature, moisture, and management practices, but most piles produce usable compost within 4 to 8 months. Finished compost will be dark brown to black, crumbly in texture, and virtually indistinguishable from rich topsoil. The original sawdust particles should be completely broken down, and the material should have a sweet, earthy aroma that signals biological stability. The results of incorporating sawdust compost into your garden beds are nothing short of remarkable. Plants grown in soil amended with properly composted sawdust display enhanced vigor, deeper root development, and increased resistance to both drought stress and disease pressure. This improvement stems from the unique physical and chemical properties that sawdust compost brings to garden soils. From a soil structure perspective, sawdust compost acts as a natural soil conditioner that benefits both clay and sandy soils. In heavy clay soils, the organic matter creates aggregation that improves drainage and root penetration while reducing compaction. Sandy soils receive the opposite benefit, increased water retention and nutrient holding capacity that prevents leaching of valuable plant foods. This dual action makes sawdust compost particularly valuable for gardeners dealing with challenging soil conditions. The slow-release nitrogen characteristics of sawdust compost provide sustained plant nutrition throughout the growing season. Unlike synthetic fertilizers that deliver intense but short-lived nutrient pulses, composted sawdust releases nutrients gradually as soil microorganisms continue breaking down organic compounds. This steady supply matches plants' natural uptake patterns, promoting healthy growth without the feast or famine cycles that can stress plants and encourage pest problems. Beyond nutrition, sawdust compost dramatically improves soil biology by providing food and habitat for beneficial microorganisms. These soil inhabitants form symbiotic relationships with plant roots, extending their ability to access nutrients and water while providing natural protection against soil-borne diseases. Gardens with biologically active soil, amended with sawdust compost, often require fewer external inputs while producing more robust, flavorful harvests. The economic benefits of sawdust composting extend far beyond the garden gate. By transforming what is often considered waste material into premium soil amendment, gardeners can dramatically reduce their spending on commercial fertilizers and soil conditioners. A single pickup truck load of sawdust, when properly composted, can provide enough soil amendment for several thousand square feet of garden beds at a fraction of the cost of purchasing equivalent amounts of commercial compost. While traditional composting represents the safest and most reliable method for utilizing sawdust in gardens, experienced gardeners can explore additional applications that maximize this versatile material's potential. Partially composted sawdust, after 6 to 8 weeks of active composting, makes an excellent mulch for established perennial beds and around fruit trees. At this stage, the initial nitrogen tie-up has largely resolved, while the material still provides excellent weed suppression and moisture retention. For gardeners with established compost systems, sawdust can serve as an invaluable carbon source for balancing fresh kitchen scraps and grass clippings throughout the growing season. Keep a covered container of dry sawdust near your compost bins for quick additions when green materials threaten to overwhelm your pile's carbon-nitrogen balance. This approach ensures consistent compost quality while making productive use of sawdust as it becomes available. Pathway applications represent another creative use for sawdust in garden design. Fresh sawdust creates attractive, functional walkways between garden beds, while slowly decomposing to eventually become part of your soil improvement program. These pathways suppress weeds, provide stable footing in muddy conditions, and can be easily refreshed as needed. When pathways begin showing signs of decomposition, simply cultivate the material into adjacent beds and apply fresh sawdust to maintain the pathway. The journey of transforming sawdust from waste to garden gold represents everything we love about sustainable gardening, taking what others discard and creating something that nurtures life and builds soil health for future generations. Your experiences with sawdust composting will be unique to your local materials, climate, and garden conditions, and we'd love to hear about your successes, challenges, and innovations. Ready to revolutionize your garden with sawdust compost? Subscribe to the Living Soil Lab for more game-changing techniques that turn waste into garden gold. And don't forget to share this guide with fellow gardeners who are ready to unlock the hidden potential in their backyard. Together, we're building healthier soils, more productive gardens, and a more sustainable future, one compost pile at a time.